France is burning once again. Buses torched, rail lines severed, barricades ablaze, hundreds detained. From Paris to Marseille, tens of thousands flood the streets clashing with riot police, defying tear gas and denouncing a government in crisis. And at the centre of the storm, Emmanuel Macron's new Prime Minister thrust into chaos on his very first day. France was convulsed by fresh unrest on September 10th as thousands of demonstrators blocked roads, set fires, and clashed with riot police across the country. The wave of protests coincided with President Emmanuel Macron's appointment of Sébastien Lecornu as Prime Minister, his fifth in just 2 years, thrusting the newcomer into the heart of France's enduring political crisis. Authorities deployed an extraordinary 80,000 police officers nationwide in an effort to contain what had been advertised online as a day to block everything, Associated Press reported. Despite the sweeping show of force, the protests produced pockets of disruption from Paris to Marseille, Rennes, Nantes, Lyon, and Lille. The Interior Ministry reported around 250 arrests in the first hours of mobilization, including 159 in Paris alone. Police used tear gas to disperse groups attempting to block the city's beltway during the morning rush hour. In several districts of the capital, protesters hurled objects at officers, overturned rubbish bins, and constructed barricades. Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau confirmed that violence flared in other cities as well.
A bus was set on fire in Rennes. In the southwest, damage to electrical cables stopped trains on one line and disrupted another.
Retailleau further alleged that seasoned groups of the extreme and ultra-left were seeking violent confrontation with police.
We have, in fact, small groups that are seasoned, mobile, often wearing masks and hoods, dressed in black, which in reality are the recognized signs, the DNA, of extreme left and ultra-left movements.
The demonstrations unfolded only 2 days after Prime Minister François Bayrou was ousted in a confidence vote, deepening the sense of instability. For many French citizens, the unrest reflected not only discontent with Macron's policies, but also exhaustion with years of political volatility.
We feel like there is a sort of lack of long-term vision. They're cobbling together projects and budgets that are dissatisfactory for keeping the cohesion and the interests of the French, that divide, and that are not invested in the channels they should be. And I think there is a strong discontent among the French people on this issue.
The movement, known as Blocs Tout, or Block Everything, emerged online during the summer and called for a coordinated campaign of blockades, strikes, boycotts, and protests. Fueled by anger at austerity, inequality, and Macron's leadership, it quickly spread across digital platforms and encrypted chats, drawing support from unions, students, and disaffected citizens alike. The protests that engulfed France on September 10th were not confined to major cities. They spread to schools, hospitals, and transport hubs, highlighting a broad sense of discontent. Students staged blockades outside Parisian lycées, brandishing placards that read,
"We are blocking because we care about our mental health, and to fill their coffers, Bayrou is picking our pockets."
Hospital staff also walked out in protest at deteriorating working conditions and looming budget cuts. Railway services were disrupted, and in Lyon, protesters blocked highways and ignited bins.
We have to stop with these people who never worked a day in their lives. It's enough. They're white-collar people who give themselves what they want, and in the end, it's us who get hit on the necks, and even worse. At one point, enough is enough. We need to put in power people who know the ground, what's happening on the ground, and with lower salaries, they have to stop all these benefits.
For many, the anger is not confined to Macron's policies, but to the revolving door of governments that have characterized his second term. Lecornu is the fifth Prime Minister since Macron's re-election in 2022, a turnover rate that has eroded public trust. The Block Everything movement's spontaneity and lack of central leadership have drawn comparisons with the Yellow Vest protests that shook France 7 years ago. Like that earlier revolt, it unites people across political, social, and generational divides. Its amorphous structure also makes it harder for the government to contain. For Macron and Lecornu, the challenge is twofold: stabilising a fractious parliament to pass a budget while calming a restless public weary of political crisis. With the far left pressing for confrontation, the far right demanding concessions, and centrists divided, Lecornu must walk a precarious tightrope. Macron has portrayed Lecornu as the figure best positioned to navigate France through these stormy waters. But Wednesday's protests, erupting less than 24 hours after Lecornu's appointment, made clear that the French public remains deeply sceptical. Into this turmoil stepped Sébastien Lecornu, a 38-year-old conservative and loyal Macron ally, appointed as Prime Minister on September 9th. Until now, Lecornu had served as Defence Minister, and before that as a rising figure within Macron's centrist bloc. He is now tasked with repairing France's battered political system while addressing its mounting fiscal problems. Outgoing Prime Minister François Bayrou, who had proposed €44 billion in budget cuts to rein in France's soaring deficit, struck a conciliatory note at the handover. But the political terrain Lecornu inherits is treacherous. Macron dissolved the National Assembly last year, resulting in a fractured legislature dominated by opposition forces from both the left and right. Bayrou's downfall came when Parliament rejected his austerity-heavy budget, which also controversially proposed eliminating 2 public holidays. The opposition has already turned its fire on Lecornu. France's far-left bloc has vowed to introduce a no-confidence motion immediately, while the far-right National Rally, RN, has offered conditional support.
His budget will be National Rally, or his government will not be.
The RN, now the largest party in the French Parliament, could determine whether Lecornu's government survives. The new Prime Minister is viewed as one of the Macron allies closest to the RN, having met party leader Jordan Bardella for dinner last year. Meanwhile, Macron reached out directly to Socialist Party leader Olivier Faure, assuring him he would not appoint a leftist as Prime Minister. Faure has hinted that he may work with Lecornu on the budget, but warned that his support is not guaranteed.